How's it going, guys? I am back with another video. This is going to be my week 5 recap video. Hopefully, by now, you guys know the drill. I'll just dive straight in here. So, first game was the Bucks Falcons last Thursday. This was a very good game. It's good to see a good Thursday night game for once. The last good Thursday night game, at least for me, that I can remember off the top of my head was the Jags Saints game last year. And then I guess there were a couple the year prior, but boy, the Thursday night games ever since they moved to Prime, they most of them have just been bad, just not very fun to watch. But this one, great game, great game. It was a shootout. The Bucks offense was like unstoppable in the first half. They were going up and down the field scoring. The Falcons offense was good too. Obviously, Kirk Cousins, career day, 509 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 42 completions, almost 60 attempts. Absolute monster day for Kirk Cousins. Of course, I was going up against him in fantasy off of a waiver wire ad. Lost that game. Should have won, but that's okay. Xavier Worthy's touchdown in the Monday night game screwed me over, but that's okay. Yeah, Baker looked good. Just the Bucks, I think they kind of maybe settled down a little bit, got a little bit too complacent in the second half of their play calling. They only scored 6 points, 2 field goals. They were able to move the ball up and down the field. Baker did a couple nice scrambles, but they got held to 2 field goals. The end of the game was absolutely insane. It looks like both teams at the end were trying to hand the other team the game. The Falcons, obviously Mooney had that big drop, and then the field goal got blocked to tie it, and then the Bucks were they went up the field. Looks like they were in a maybe chew clock, win the game. Then Bucky Irving fumbled. The Falcons at the game right there. They could tie or even win the game. And they ended up turning it over on downs. Cousins threw a pick on fourth down to Lavonte David. And I'm like, yep, that's probably wraps. And the Falcons ended up stopping the Bucks, and they ended up getting a field goal and spiked it with 1 second left. When Cousins threw that ball, I didn't think they were gonna have enough time to spike it. I don't know how the hell they got up to the line that quick, but obviously they did, spiked it, got field goal, and then in overtime, Daryl Hodge broke away from the bunch of defenders and turned on the Jets to win the game. That was insane. The I mean the Bucks, there was a holding call that really derailed their drive at the end there, where they had to punt to the Falcons when they got that game time field goal with 1 second or as time expired. It looks like there was a missed face mask call on Bucky Irving, so that I mean the Falcons would have retained their timeout because it would have been a penalty, but best case scenario they would have stopped them, probably hit around, I forget exactly how much time was on the clock, but I think by the time they would have gotten the ball, assuming the Bucks make the field goal, don't get a fresh set of first downs, it would have been like 30 seconds. They would have been down 6. They would have had to obviously go for the touchdown. So they probably almost certainly lose that game, barring a miracle, but they ended up winning. But yeah, this is a really good game. The Bucks really should have won this one. Obviously, a shootout. The Bucks really blew it though. The Falcons sort of did too. I think the Falcons outplayed the Bucks though, honestly, even though the Bucks kind of the lead most of the game. Younghoe missed a field goal early in the game that there's an offsides on the box, and then they redid it, and he missed that one too. Oh my God, I hope this doesn't come back to bite them. And it kind of did, but they were able to obviously win the game. So ultimately they won, so didn't really affect them too much. But yeah, really good game here. Took it into stats. Yeah, kind of another bad penalty game from the Falcons, but pretty close to even in time possession. Pretty even stats some places. Most stats, Falcons kind of outplayed the Bucks. Godwin needed 3 more receiving yards, and my 3-leg parlay would have hit. He needed 3 more yards going into the fourth quarter and didn't get a single target. I just knew it was going to happen too. There was so many plays where he was open and he didn't get the ball. I'm like, oh my God, man, like, come on. But that's okay. Happy for the Falcons. Good for Kirk Cousins. They play the Panthers this week, so they should be able to win that. They're first in the division. Um, my predictions this season have gone completely off the rail for the most part, but I predicted the Falcons win the division at 10-7. So that is actually looking pretty promising. So at least I have that going for me. But yeah, really good game. Good to see Pitts get involved too. I took a flyer putting him in or not a flyer, but like a risk rather, starting him on one of my teams. I ended up winning. Very much needed a win. So thank you for Kyle Pitts or to Kyle Pitts. But yeah, good game. Really entertaining. Another good one tonight. We had Niners Seahawks. That'll be a good one too. Oh, London game, first London game of the year. So the Vikings were up 17-0. They were completely dominating the game. Jets offense didn't have a first down, I don't think, until the second quarter. And they kind of caught a break off of the Jets caught a break off of a muffed, not a muff, but just a fumbled toss with Ty Chandler. And I'm like, yep, here we go. Because I had money on the Vikings in this game, my parlay, which of course it didn't hit, so it didn't even matter ultimately. But obviously I picked the Vikings, so I was kind of pulling for them. And the Jets are in my division, the Patriots, which obviously we won't be winning the division title, so it doesn't even matter really. But they caught a break, the Jets did, and Rodgers throws a pick six to Andrew Van Ginkel. That was right here. You can see the pick six right here, but that was insane. Vikings defense, I predicted in my video that they would cause a lot of issues for Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett game planning with all their disguise schemes of Brian Flores, which, by the way, Nathaniel Hackett was just demoted a couple hours ago as I'm recording this video. And now Todd Downing is going to be the offensive play caller. So that's, oh boy, that could be an absolute disaster. He was not good with the Titans calling plays. And also the big news, Robert Saleh got fired. So that kind of came. I mean, he was a little bit on the hot seat, but I had zero expectations he were going to fire him this early into the year. So that was an absolute shocker to me. I'll talk about that more in my recap video. Try to get that video out tomorrow or Saturday. I'll shoot for one of the 2 days there. But yeah, I mean the Vikings offense moving the ball, and then after the first half, they just stalled. They had no offense up until that last drive where they were able to get into field goal range. And their other field goal they got was kind of just based off default field positioning because they forced a Jets punt deep in their own territory, pretty much in their end zone, and they got a good return, got a couple of yards. So that's the only reason they got that field goal. But they really only had one drive after they were up 17-0, where they like sustained a couple first downs, so looked good. So yeah, the Jets defense balled out in this one. After they were down 17-0, they balled out against the Broncos. Obviously, they owned to 10 points. They've been pretty good all year, the Jets defense, except week one, really. Then week two, they were a bit iffy. But week three, four, and five, the Jets defense is really good. The Jets offense, I mean, they were 2-1. It looks like Rodgers was getting it going. He led the league in touchdown passes, I'm pretty sure, at that time. And then just ever since that Broncos game, they they have just really been struggling. I thought they were honestly going to pull it off in this one, especially when they held the Vikings to the field goal. I thought Rodgers was going to go right down the field and score, and it looks like they were. They were moving the ball, and then Rodgers just had looked like a miscommunication with Mike Williams. And Gilmore, my old guy from the Patriots, got the game-sealing interception. So yeah, I mean, Rodgers didn't really look too good. I mean, 29 of 54, that's obviously not good. 244, a decent amount of yardage, not with the pass attempts, but just in general. Yeah, 3 picks. One of them was a pick six. Obviously, that's very uncharacteristic of Rodgers. Yeah, their offense did get going, and there was a Vikings kind of screwed themselves over with I think it was kind of a bad call though. I don't remember exactly. Maybe I'm wrong, but it should have been either nothing or just running into the punter for 5 yards at most, rather than roughing for 15. And then the Jets ended up getting a field goal on that drive, so that was big. Obviously, Vikings won, so it doesn't really matter in the end too much. But their offense just had nothing going. The Vikings, Darnold didn't really look too good. Aaron Jones getting hurt screwed one of my fantasy teams. It looks like he had 6 points like halfway through like a quarter and a half into the game. So that I could have used those points. I narrowly lost. Put up 153 and lost. I lost putting up 153 points. My 1-14 that finally gets it together. I outscore everyone in the league except my opponents. That describes that team for me pretty well. Yeah, I mean the Vikings undefeated. They're going into the bye. I think maybe at a good time for them. They've won two in a row, well, five in a row, obviously this season. But I mean, the past two games they won, they've hit a lead. They were up 28-0 almost board against the Packers, and they were up 17-0 almost board against the Jets. So maybe at a good time for them that they go into the bye, kind of clean some things up. But they are 5-0. That's all that really matters in the end there. Panthers Bears. So this game kind of went as I expected. I did say I wouldn't be like absolutely shocked if the Panthers won. It could be a trap game, but Bears took care of business. They're obviously the better team. The Panthers offense, besides, I mean, it was good the prior week against the Bengals, and obviously it was phenomenal against the Raiders, but I think it came back down to earth in this one. Their defense, the Panthers, just been bad all year, just a mess. Bears offense has been getting it going. And obviously they showed out in this one the past 2 weeks. They've even going back to the Colts game 2 weeks ago. They kind of got it clicking. Obviously, this is their best performance. Put up 36. Caleb Williams looked pretty good. Had a nice touchdown to DJ Moore. Actually, I think DJ Moore had 2 touchdowns, if I remember right. Oh, that's Panthers. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. That bailed me out in one of my leagues. Thank God, finally DJ Moore is getting super involved like he was last year. Yeah, Caleb Williams looked good. DeAndre Swift's been getting it going. Good game this one and last week too. So that's 2 games in a row. He's kind of looked like last year, at least the first half of the year when he was on the Eagles. He was running the shit out of the ball. He looked really good. But yeah, not a good performance from the Panthers. This is just kind of how I expect the Panthers to look for the rest of the year, honestly. But good win for the Bears. Obviously, they deserve this one. Outplayed the Panthers, took care of business. So yeah, I don't really think there's too much to say to this game. Just Bears deserve this one. They blew them out. I think the score indicates how the game went pretty well. So yeah. Um. Oh, here we go. Oh boy. Yeah, this game screwed me over like a friggin' idiot. I changed my pick from the Commanders to the Browns in this one. I just kind of had a gut feeling this is the game. The Browns pulled it together. The Commanders are due for a loss, kind of come back down to earth game. And, well, that certainly did not happen. It looked pretty promising early for the Browns. They first play, it might have been the first play, nice play action pass into Njoku, who also like an idiot. I started in my friggin' fantasy lineup. Whatever. That was just a stupid decision on my part. And they ended up getting stops, and I'm like, oh, great. But the Browns defense played pretty well to start the game. They held Jaden Daniels, well, even overall, not a very, I guess, a good, not a like Nah, not like a great passing day, but a pretty okay one for Daniels, which even the Cardinals game, it was like an okay passing day. So kind of similar stats passing the past 2 weeks. Jane Daniels, if I remember the Cardinals game right. Just thinking off the top of my head here. But yeah, the Browns defense, I mean, they were containing the Commanders offense. They hit him at a 3rd and 13. Jane Daniels made an insane throw to Luke McCaffrey and he ended up throwing a pick after that. So I'm like, Brown defense keep them in this. And it was 7-3. I think and it went 10-3 at one point. So I'm like, okay, this is actually doable. The Browns can pull this off. And then from there, they just got slaughtered. The Commanders' offense took off. Browns had absolutely zero offense. Pretty much, they had a garbage time TD right at the end of the game. They got a field goal based off of field positioning. They forced a fumble. Their defense did to start the second half on a McLaurin. I think it was a jet sweep. And it was a bad sequence. They had to burn a timeout. Then there was a delay of game, I think. It was just bad. They were right in the red zone, down 21. Perfect opportunity to cut it to 14, maybe get some momentum. And they had to burn a timeout and settle for a field goal to make it 24-6, which really doesn't do too much, cutting it to 18 from 21, really. So that was just kind of a uh what's the word I'm looking for? But Jacob, that short sequence kind of defined how the Brown season has gone pretty much so far. Get the exact word I'm looking for, but yeah, Commanders definitely deserved this game. They outplayed the Browns pretty much every category, if not every category. Yeah, Browns offensive line just a mess. Watson looks awful. Just, oh boy, awful game for Watson. He had like an 8.6 QBR, I think, and I don't even think that was the worst. I think he had an 8.1 against the Cowboys week one, and Stephen A. Smith when he said Sean Watson's so awful that if someone wanted to arrest him for being awful, they could. That was pretty funny. Just, I don't know what the hell's happened to Deshaun Watson. It's just a disaster for them this season so far. But good for the Commanders. They get a big game against the Ravens this week. That'll be good to watch. Oh boy. Let me take a sip of water before I actually my Powerade here. I'm gonna need these electrolytes to get through this recap. Give me 1 second. Okay, where do I even start? So first of all, I hate losing. I hate losing. And yes, I've accepted the fact, even going into the year, that my team is terrible. We're probably going to be the worst team in the league. But because I love my team so much, I always have some delusion that maybe we can somehow win each and every game, especially this game at home against the Dolphins, who are beat to hell. They're on a losing streak. There's a 3-game losing streak, and they've just looked awful the past couple weeks. And they have Tyler Huntley, who looked awful against the Titans the prior week. They're just a disaster. Not that we aren't either, but they're just as much a disaster. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but around the same disaster level as we are. Our defense is playing well to start the year, which, it's not too notable because of how terrible our offense has been. But I mean, the Dolphins kind of outplayed us in this game, I think. Honestly, we were just getting kind of multiple breaks. We got a blocked punt, not that's a break. We kind of made the play. The Dolphins had, I think, not one, but two missed snaps on field goal attempts. So that's 6 points off the board right there, assuming Sanders makes the kicks. And then they also had a oh shit, I just lost it. I just had it in my head what I was gonna say. They also had a sequence where they I think they were in field goal range, and then the center snapped the ball when Huntley wasn't ready, and it obviously flew back pretty far, and then they ended up punting, I think. So we caught a lot of breaks in this game. And then I was gonna say Sanders missed one too, flat out missed a field goal, bounced off the post, if I remember right. Sly also missed a 33-yarder, so that kind of sucked. That was like his first real miss of the year. His other only miss was against the Seahawks week 2. They got blocked. It wasn't really his fault. This is kind of his first straight up miss that was kind of on him. But yeah, the Dolphins were kind of moving the ball pretty efficiently most of the game. Especially the run game, it felt like. We just kind of kept getting bailed out with kind of breaks. And I mean, yeah, the stats are kind of, oh yeah, penalties. Jesus Christ, don't even get me so many penalties. We were the least penalized, as bad as we've been. We were the least penalized team in the league. I'm pretty sure weeks 1 through 4, and then this game just a disaster. There was also one horrible. It was like 3rd and 14, I think, and oh my God, who the hell was it? I forget who, but one of our DBs, I think we ran man coverage and he motioned across and he was like kind of late, and the Dolphins snapped the ball, and it was just a simple like 3-yard pass to the receiver. I forget who it was. I think it was Mostert maybe. And they were going to be absolutely nowhere near the first down. They were going to have to punt to us when we had the lead. We were up 10-9 at this point, and they called a PI. That I almost smashed my head through the wall watching that. I was just so beyond pissed we lost this game. I'm honestly surprised. I was screaming so loud. I honestly am surprised I didn't get a wellness check from my neighbors. I was so pissed off. But yeah, in our offense did like pretty much nothing until we had to this game. We had Stevenson had a nice run, a touchdown run early in the game, and then we had 3 points after that. I mean, really? And then late in the game, we just kept stalling out. Just offense line was just bad. Just very little offense from us until we absolutely needed it when the Dolphins took the lead late in the game, which, by the way, they absolutely gashed us in the run game. Especially late, they had like 8 straight carries. I mean, yeah, that's 32 carries for their. Oh, and then A-Chain. 32 carries for Mostert and Wright, and a couple from A-Chain. Huntley had a couple keepers. Or not keepers, but scrambles. I don't think they ran a keeper with him, but Jesus. Brissett, obviously, he got. I predicted May would start this week. That didn't end up happening. Obviously, it didn't end up happening. He's going to start this week against the Texans, which, oh boy, I'm very anxious about this one. Yeah, Stevenson was benched to start the game, but he got more carries than Gibson. Uh, Pop one positive though, Pop Douglas, another game where he's pretty involved, so that's good to see. Uh, yeah, Polk only had one catch. Should have been two. Yep, hang on. Here, I got to take another sip of water for this rant. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Polk at the end of the game with that touchdown. So as I was just saying, our offense does nothing until we absolutely need to. And we actually, the first play was like a 1 yard loss on a run. I'm like, yep, here we go, another friggin' awful drive. And then Brissett on a play action pass ended up doing a nice move, got it to I forget who it was. Maybe it was I want to say maybe it was Keyshawn. It was either Keyshawn Booty or Butte, how the hell he says his name. I've heard it both ways. Or Douglas, I want to say. We ended up putting together a good drive. Then we had another holding penalty. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna actually smash my head to a wall. And we ended up overcoming the penalty. It was third and 9 from after second and 20 or first 20, then we gained nothing. Second and 20, and we converted. Which if we didn't convert that, it was gonna be the 2 minute. It was 2 minute warning, so we probably would have burned a timeout. And honestly, I think we probably would have gone for it, but that would have been an interesting decision to see if Mayo would have kicked the field goal there. That honestly would have been an interesting decision. Yeah, we probably would have gone for it. It was after the 2 minute. Or no, actually, I don't know. We burned a timeout with 2 timeout. Yeah, he definitely should have gone for it at least. But a couple passive decisions, very conservative coaching decisions early in the year from Mayo and the coaching staff. So who knows? But anyway, Polk gets the touchdown. I'm like, yep, well, we should be able to win this game because the only reason the Dolphins have been able to move the ball is because it's been close throughout. So they're able to mix in the run game, the play action, do all their motions, their eye candy. But obviously, if we got the touchdown there, and then obviously we would have been up one at worst case scenario if we don't get the two, up three if we do get it, unless they returned it back or whatever. That would have, honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if that would have happened with our free and how terrible we've been, but how unlucky we've been this season. But, um, yeah, oh God. But yeah, we would have been up one and they would have had to run a standard 1 minute drill offense with Tyler Huntley, who is very new to the team, probably doesn't have many reps running that offense, I imagine. And they would have had, I think they had, they might have, I think they only had one timeout, maybe two. I forget exactly, but which honestly they probably would have gotten bailed out with a flag. But I think our defense would have held them. So I think if Polk gets that touchdown, we win the game. Which, I mean, people were saying it was a touchdown. I mean, I think it was the correct ruling on a stupid rule. It kind of like the Jesse James catch that we benefited from in the 2017 season. Bad rule on a correct ruling on a bad rule, which we ended up benefiting from that. But Now it comes back to bite us. Obviously, that game was much more consequential. Whoever won that game was likely going to get the 1 seed, which we ended up winning. It did get the 1 seed. But yeah, this game pissed me off so much. I mean, as bad as we've been, we were 1-3 coming in this one. If we would have won like we should have, we would have been 2-3, which would have been better than multiple like notable teams with pretty high expectations. And we should have beaten the Seahawks, so we should have been three. We should be 3-2. We should be 3-2, but we're 1-4. God, this game just pissed me off so much. And then at the end of the game there, Brissett throwing it in like the middle of the field to Henry to ice the game so there's no time left. I'm like, why are we not taking an end zone shot or at least like a short completion to get out of bounds, get a little closer to maybe run like a vertical concept rather than just a straight up Hail Mary? But oh my God, dude, like, oh, this game beyond pissed me off. But I don't know. I don't know. This team is just making me lose brain cells, honestly. Okay, this was a pretty. I did not expect this game to be this much of a shootout. Jags kind of had control. Well, the Colts had control early on, but then the Jags had control most of the game. After that, Brian Robinson big play touchdown that he broke loose on. Jags kind of had control. Their offense looked pretty good, and they were up 2 scores. Colts scored. Joe Flacco an insane touchdown pass and like triple coverage to I think it was Mo Alley Cox. I remember right. Let me see. Yeah, it was Mo Alley Cox, and then Jags were up 2 scores again, and the Colts ended up scoring again. I'm like, Jesus, dude. And then they ended up scoring another touchdown. Yeah, they scored 24 points in the fourth quarter after there being only 10 through entering the fourth quarter. So the Jags nearly blew this game. They ended up getting a field goal at the end there to seal it. But Jesus, this was a lot closer than it should have been. Joe Flacco slinging it. It's entertaining to see him. He's obviously was a big rival of my team back in the day when he was on the Ravens. But it's good to see Joe Flacco still slinging it, playing really well out there. But yeah, this was a complete shootout. I could not. I mean, the Colts defense is bad, but Jags offense looked really good. Lawrence looked really good. He did a kind of a bad pick. It was an ugly pick. Bigsby had an insane game, but he had an insane touchdown run where he was like tackled like 10 yards short and he ended up getting shoved in, stayed upright somehow. Brian Robinson played great. Kirk finally got involved. I had to play him this week, so bye weeks and injuries, so thank God. Um, yeah, really, really good game here. I mean, the Jags were 3 short of 500 yards offense total yards. Colts weren't too far behind. Really good game from both teams. Colts offense I mean, defense has been bad this year for the most part. But Jags, they probably should have held on against the Texans too. They kind of blew that one, so they probably should be 2-3. But 1-4, good for them to get their first win. Whew, yeah, that was a shootout. I had the Jags in the money line parlay, which I was like, God, am I really gonna put the 0-4 Jags in this? But I did. They ended up winning, so I'm like, thank God. But my parlay didn't win, so it didn't really matter. Okay, this game. So the Bills were down 17 points. They were down 20-3. And the Texans were just out playing there. They're moving the ball. Stroud got a big deep pass touchdown to Nico Collins, who I have on 2 teams, so that was nice. And even though he's on IR now, but then ever since Collins went out, they just really struggled to move the ball after he was out with an injury, the Texans. So I mean, they scored every quarter, but they only got 2 field goals after Collins went out, if I remember right. Well, actually, they were able to move the ball fairly well, but Stroud made a couple mistakes in this. He had a fumble late, and then he also had a pick too. And I mean, Josh Allen was 9 of 30. That's obviously a horrible completion percentage for only 131 and 1 touchdown. It's not a very great game from Josh Allen. A lot of talk on it looked like Josh Allen was concussed. He didn't even like go to the protocol. He came right back in. So that was, I don't know. I haven't really seen much on that an update, but I mean, 49 of his 131 yards came on the Coleman touchdown, where it was fourth down. They went for it, and Coleman spun out of a tackle, ended up going all the way. So I mean, the Texans defense looked like a D'Amico Ryan's defense, very well coached, very well executed game plan. So credit to the Texans defense for stepping up in this one. A lot of talk on the end of the game there. So the first off, the Texans were like on the border of field goal range, and I don't think the Bills had any timeouts. And if I was Texans, I would have just ran the ball and just called timeout with 3 seconds left and kicked the field goal, even if it was like right on the edge of Fairbairn's range. You're giving the Bills no time. If he misses it, you're going to overtime. But they threw for it, didn't get it. They punted it, and then a lot of talk on the Bills. They're backed up in their own end zone, and they had 3 straight pass attempts rather than making the Texans burn their timeouts, which the Texans, I think, had all 3 timeouts. So assuming the Bills don't get a first down, the Texans burn their 3 timeouts, they would have had a chance to have won the game there anyway. But obviously, without any timeouts, it would have been harder. And you probably would have burned around the same amount of time off, maybe a little bit less than you did throwing the ball. But yeah, 3 straight passes, 3 straight incompletions, and obviously they punted. Texans one quick play, getting field goal range. Fairbairn with the walk-off field goal to win it. So a lot of talk and criticism on Sean McDermott there. He kind of took the blame for it. I honestly, I am a very aggressive. Well, I know it's not a great comparison, but like in Madden, I'm like the most aggressive you can possibly be. I like never punt on fourth down. I rarely do. Uh I root for aggressiveness in the NFL. That's why I love Dan Campbell so much. One reason I love Dan Campbell so much. I just love aggressive play, not passive play. Just love aggressive decisions. So I didn't mind it too much, honestly, and because then if you get the first down passing, maybe you can get another big passing play. You can get in field goal range somehow. But in the Bills' offense, it can be explosive. You know, they're minus a lot of receivers in comparison to the past couple of years. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I don't think it's as bad as people are saying, but I definitely see why people are criticizing them, even though. Well, I mean, obviously they lost the game off of it, so that's the big criticism. But I don't think it's honestly as bad. But I mean, the Texans definitely deserved to win this game. They almost blew it. It looked like they were. Once Stroud turned it over late, I thought the Bills were gonna get a touchdown, take the lead, and end up holding on. But they got held to a field goal. So yeah, Texans definitely deserved this one. They nearly blew it, but they definitely deserved to win this game, I think. So good for the Texans. Um, oh boy. So talk about a shootout here. So I expected Derrick Henry to run wild on Bengals, and that's really not what happened. He had one big carry late in overtime on a toss that he went wild with, but besides that, the Bengals kind of contained him pretty well. Ravens got a touchdown in their opening drive, and I'm like, Jesus, this Bengals defense is so bad. And the Bengals ended up scoring 17 in the second quarter. They were up 3 at halftime. Jamar Chase had a big game, but he had a touchdown late in the first half that was big. Bengals were up 2 scores most of this game. The Ravens just ended up fighting back, and especially late, Lamar, that insane improvised touchdown to Isaiah Likely, which completely screwed me on one of my fantasy teams, but had that touchdown pass. And yeah, the Bengals late in the game, I mean, Joe Burrow, their offense has just been absolutely unstoppable. The Bengals, they have some record for points scored, and like them being this bad of a record, their defense has been. I mean, the first 2 weeks it was fine, and then ever since then, week 3, 4, and 5, just been an absolute disaster. they were able to get away with it last week. So it was the Panthers. They played okay against the Panthers, but Jesus, I mean, they allowed almost 40 to the Commanders. Now they allowed over 41. I mean, over 40 against the Ravens, 41. And then against the Panthers, the Panthers offense was getting going too, a good portion of that game. They scored a decent amount. The Bengals defense just awful. Joe Burrow is putting up MVP. Now, if the Bengals record was better, Joe Burrow would be right up there in the MVP candidate. But if they can turn their season around, I think he will be. He has like a 12 to 2 touchdown to pick ratio I saw. He's leading the league in passer rating, I think. Just absolutely insane. But the Bengals were up late. They were up 2 scores after that likely touchdown, 1 score. And yeah, they were up 2 scores, I think, 2 separate times in the fourth quarter. The Ravens ended up getting 2 touchdowns. And then Burrow, they ended up having a nice drive, and Burrow just threw yeah, he threw a pick. He threw a pick, and the Bengals defense ended up holding the Ravens to a field goal, and the Bengals weren't able to end up scoring after that. Went to OT. Ravens got the ball. Looks like they were driving, gonna probably win the game. They had that fumble, and I'm like, yep, here we go. They just blew it. The Bengals are gonna win this game. Big win for the Bengals, and a lot of talk on Zach Taylor ran the ball 3 straight times, making a long field goal from McPherson. He missed it. Then there was the toss to Henry that basically sealed the game. Tucker got the field goal to win it for the Ravens after that. But a lot of talk on Zach Taylor. Apparently, he called a pass play, but Burrow audibled out of it to a run. But oh, I mean, Burrow was just having a great game, dicing up the Ravens defense. You're on the very long, you're in field goal range for your kicker, McPherson, but very long field goal range. You want to make it easier. I honestly would have, especially on the third down, I probably would have thrown it. But I don't know which play it was out of the 3 they ran that Burrow audible, but oh boy, just, I mean, they blew this one. The Ravens tried to blow it, then the Bengals did blow it. I mean, the Bengals did blow it probably in regulation too. They're up 2 scores multiple times late. They should have held on anyway. But yeah, really good, really even game too. Uh, Pretty even with the stats here. The time session, I was not expecting to be this close. Yeah, the Bengals defense obviously needs to turn around. Their offense, I had zero concerns about. It's been balling out, as I'm talking about, but their defense needs to turn it around. If their defense can even play mediocre, they'll be one of the elite teams in the league. Their defense is just so bad. They can turn it around there. Really exciting game to watch, so that was awesome. Awesome game. Uh, so this was I'm surprised the Broncos offense played this well. They were off to the one time I picked them, they were down 10-0 early. Brock Bowers an insane touchdown grab early. I'm like, the one time I picked the Broncos, they're gonna shit the bed. But thankfully they ended up coming back. It looks like the Pat Surtain pick 6 completely changed this game. The Raiders were on the verge of going up. It was 17-3, and then they threw that pick 6. Minshew, who didn't have a good game, he got benched. Now Aiden O'Connell's starting this coming week for the Raiders. Just a disaster for the Raiders. But yeah, the Broncos offense got it going. They put up 34. Obviously, that's a really good performance. Christian Wilkins is out for the Raiders now. They're just an absolute disaster right now. Kind of sad to see. Bo Nix looked pretty good. He's honestly kind of been a little sneaky this year, at least in certain games, in certain moments. Yeah, I mean, the Broncos definitely deserve to win this game. They outplayed the Raiders. You wouldn't be able to tell from the stats really, but they outplayed the Raiders. Just a rough game for the Raiders. They're going to be trading Adams. They're just an absolute mess right now. The Broncos, they've won 3 in a row. Somehow they have. So I don't know how the hell the Broncos are 3-2, but just a weird 3-2, and the Niners are are 2-3. The Rams are 1-4. Like, what the hell is the Bengals are 1-4? Like, what the hell is happening this season with some of these teams? Just such a weird season so far, but just a mess for the Raiders. Surprised the Broncos played this well. Their defense has been balling out. Raiders ended up getting a guard. They were on 24 with like 8 minutes left or 6 minutes left. They ended up getting a touchdown and two-pointer, lost by 16. So it was even the Broncos had complete control after that pick six, pretty much. That was the changing tide of the game. Oh boy, here's another game that pissed me off. 'Cause the Niners, I needed the Niners and Seahawks. They both would have won. I would have won $60 in my parlay, which they both should have. The Niners pretty after that Murray touchdown run early, they had complete control of the game, the Niners. Then Moody went out. That kind of changed the game. They kind of to be more aggressive offensively, a lot more pass attempts than run attempts. 30 pass, actually, oh, that's the Cardinals, actually. Yeah, it's not too many rush attempts to the Niners. Jordan Mason was running pretty well too. But yeah, the Niners, they were up 13, or maybe they were only up 10, and I think they were up 13, and they had to go for like a 4th and 24 because of no Moody. Obviously, they would have kicked the field goal if Moody was healthy. And then late in the game, Cardinals ended up scoring, cut it to 3. Niners had a nice drive. Looks like they were maybe going to punch in the end zone, seal the game, and Mason fumbled. And then the Niners defense hit the Cardinals in a 4th down. They sent an all-out blitz. Kyler lofted it up there from Marvin Harrison Jr. Caught it. And the Cardinals ended up getting a field goal, take the lead by 1. Niners looks like they were going to have a game-winning drive. And I honestly, the stats don't suggest it, but I honestly think Purdy had a fairly good game, but he ended up throwing another pick. It was a deflected pass, and they ended up losing because of it. So they completely blew this one. Out of the 3 losses, they've blown 2 of them. The Rams and Cardinals game, they both outplayed their opponent. They should have won that one. The Vikings game is kind of the only game they got outplayed and deserved to lose. So as banged up and as kind of sloppy as the Niners have been at times this season, they really should be 4-1. But it's a good win for the Cardinals. They've kind of were a sleeper team the first couple weeks, and then they've kind of shit the bed against the Commanders and the Lions. Their offense was their defense was okay in that game, but their offense was just not very good. But it was good bounce back win for them. I think they are a sleeper team still. Like this, I think a game like this where they upset a team that's better than them or very competitive, very close game, play a close game to their opponent. I definitely think that's going to be a theme with them this year. They could be a sleeper team still, but big win for them. The Niners just gonna. I have zero concern. I shouldn't say zero, but I don't have much concern for the Niners. They're just gonna clean some things up, get healthy. They'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, just looking at the stats here, it's kind of fairly even across the board, but I mean, I think the Niners definitely deserve to win this game. They blew it. But credit to the Cardinals for making that late comeback. Yeah, that was a pretty good game to watch. Um, oh boy, this game. So the Seahawks, as I mentioned, them and the Niners were in my parlay. Both of them. Well, I was so confident in the Seahawks in this game. So confident. I like didn't even think twice about this game. And they blew it. They definitely deserve to win this game or lose this game. The Giants kind of dominated this game. They should have won by more than this. Their first try, they went down the field, about to punch in the Seahawks. They did make an incredible play, but kind of a fluky play where they ended up getting that 101 yard return for the fumble, and they were 7-0. Giants offense just moving the ball up and down the field the whole game without Neighbors, without Singletary. They were able to move the ball the whole game. Seahawks offense kind of struggled against the Giants pass rush. I mean, they really only had 13 offensive points. 7 of them came directly from their defense. But the Giants pass rush has been super underrated this year. That definitely caused issues for the Seahawks. The Seahawks had pretty much no run game. I mean, Geno had a couple scrambles, but those were improvised. I mean, like standard rushes, Kenneth Walker 19 yards. They barely even ran. They had 7 rush attempts with their 2 running backs between them. That's obviously a problem usually. Yeah, Daniel Jones looked good. Oh yeah, Tyrone Tracy went off in this game. He's kind of been an under the radar good player this year for the Giants. Darius Slayton went off. Wanda Robinson had a good game, caught a touchdown. I just started him because of injuries and bye week, so that was good. Um, yeah, as bad as Seahawks played, once they cut it to 3 very late, and then they forced a 3 and I'm like, they're actually going to steal this game. And then Gino got a big scramble. I'm like, they're actually going to win. Then there was a deep pass he launched to JSN where it's iffy on it should have been PI. I'm like, they're going to steal the game. And then the Giants got that blocked field goal. So that was returned it. So that was absolutely insane. The Giants definitely deserved to win this game. They outplayed the Seahawks. Stats kind of show that here. So yeah, they also dominated time possession. Seahawks offense just a rough showing. Their defense and it kind of clamped down as the game got later and later, but just not a good game from the Seahawks overall. I was so worried about this game. I had zero concern over the Niners game because of how it was going. And then as soon as the Niners lost, I'm like, yep, I spent all this time worrying about it. The Seahawks going to win for my parlay. That now that the Niners lost, they're going to come back and win. But they ended up losing. So I'm like, okay, I feel at least a little less mad at the 49ers now. But yeah, very surprised at that game. This was a good game. I expected the Packers to win this game like handily. It was very close, obviously, not how I expected the game to go. But the Packers didn't end up winning. They were up 7-0 in the first. Then Love just hit a bad pick six. He was stumbling, threw it off to avoid the safety, and a pick six. That was bad. Matt LaFleur made some adjustments. Packers 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. They had their defense played pretty well. The Packers, McKinney had another pick. Stafford, I think, has actually been playing really well this year. Just they've been so banged up, hurt, receiver offense. It's everywhere that no one's really been, and they're 1-4, so no one's really been talking about it too much. Kyren Williams had a good game. Jacobs had a good game. Tucker Kraft got going. He had 2 touchdowns. One of them was a super long one in the third quarter. Jordan Love's going to kind of clean some things up here, but I think he'll be fine. Packers are just going to get better as the year progresses, especially later in the year once the stakes raise high. That's kind of when the Packers are at their best, it seems like, especially when you get into the playoffs. But yeah, really balanced game for the Packers. I love Matt LaFleur as a coach, his offensive scheme. Jeff Hafley done a great job with the defense. Another good defensive game. I think I mentioned that. Uh, yeah, the stats kind of fairly even. Um, Rams, honestly, just looking at these stats, you might have think they won the game. They had a chance late. Love missed, I think it was Wicks to basically ice the game almost. And they ended up punting to Stafford, and he had a chance game-winning drive. And I think he had a couple first downs, and then around midfield, the Packers defense ended up holding to win the game. But yeah, the Packers definitely deserve to win this game. I think they outplayed the Rams. But this is a really good game, and trying to think what else. Yeah, just a good game. I mean, yeah, the Rams thought this would be a blowout win for the Packers, obviously, or not obviously, but you guys know what I'm saying. I thought this would be obviously it was not the case, what I'm trying to say here, and get my words all mixed up. So yeah, that was a good game. That was fun to. I had the Packers in my parlay too, so I'm like, yep, they'll probably blow it, but they ended up holding on, so good for them. So this game, oh boy, am I glad I stayed up till 1 a.m. to watch it. Well, I normally I'm up that late anyway, but I was freaking exhausted because I was on very little sleep from the day before. Then I woke up early, get ready for the London game, do some other things in the morning. So I'm like, Jesus, I'm freaking exhausted here. So this game kind of went as I expected. I think I predicted the score flipped in the Steelers' favor, but a lot of obviously heavy defensive game, not too much offense for either team. Field goals, touchdowns here and there. Steelers defense played well. Dak gave them a gift with one pick in the end zone that was bad towards the end of the first half. He had another pick in the fourth quarter that he gave them. Steelers offense really didn't get too much going. I mean, the Cowboys definitely outplayed them this game. I honestly was surprised it went right down to the end where it was like do or die, fourth and goal. Cowboys outplayed them this game. I'm so mad that they won though. Said they had they had Parsons and Lawrence, I definitely would have picked them. I just thought that their defensive injury is going to be too much for them. They all played the Steelers. I just looking at the stats, you can definitely see that here. I think it's just especially the red zone pick really hurt them on the scoreboard. But Cowboys were clutch late in the game. They had 14 points in the fourth quarter. Obviously, they had that do or die fourth and goal. They ended up getting the touchdown there. Their defense, obviously, the Steelers' offense hasn't really been too impressive this year, but their defense, as bad as it was against the Ravens and the Saints, uh, um, yeah, against the Saints and the Ravens, and as many question marks and all the injuries, they played pretty well in this game, especially stopping the run. The Steelers really didn't have much of a run game. Yeah, only 42 yards for Najee, their leading rusher on 14 carries. Fields didn't really have a great game. He had two touchdowns, so that was good, obviously, but really didn't have a great game. Cowboys have pretty much no run game all season, but Rico Dowdle had a pretty good game. He had a carry late in the game. Friggin', I think it was Edmonds from the Steelers, absolutely smoked him at the goal line. He fumbled it. Oh my God, that would have been insane if they ended up recovering that to win the game off of it. But yeah, this is definitely defensive low scoring game. Kind of went as I expected. I just expected the score to be flipped. Figured it would be go right down to the wire. It did. I pretty much got a lot of my predictions to this game right, except the score, which obviously, well, the winner rather, which is obviously the biggest thing. But whatever, whatever. At least I did a little bit better in my picks this week, very marginally, but. That was I don't mind a defensive game. A lot of people are saying it was boring. I understand that, but I don't mind a good defensive game as long as it's good defense rather than just sloppy shit offense. I don't mind watching it. Saints. Okay, so I don't know how the hell the Saints were. I went really bold and predicted a Saints win, which obviously that backfired horribly. I just figured this is the game that was going to be evident the Chiefs need to go out and trade for a wide receiver. But their offense, honestly, it kind of looked like the best it has all season for me. Super efficient. Mahomes had a really good game. He had a pick late that it's going to stain his stat line. But I mean, if you take away the pick here, just cross this out, that's a really good stat line. Obviously, you'd like to see a touchdown with almost 40 pass attempts and 331 yards, 28 completions. But that pick wasn't really on him. It was just more so on Juju. I just read this as the game. The Saints, yeah, they was evident the Chiefs need a receiver. The Saints defense balls out. Maybe not balls out, but holds them to field goals. Saints offense, I thought was going to beat the blitz some more, get some big explosive plays, which they did have sparks of. Obviously, there was that Shaheed touchdown. They got deep to cut it to 3, 10-7. And then the Chiefs offense, just really efficient game from them. There is the third quarter, they should have gotten a PI call on Worthy, which it's miraculous to see the Chiefs not get a call for once. Honestly, it's probably because the NFL knows the fans are cracking down on how they try to give the Chiefs every controversial call possible to go in their favor. So they probably trying to even it out to be like, oh, see, it's even. We don't give the Chiefs every flag, but we're smart. We're gonna catch on to an NFL. Um, so yeah, they had a missed PI call, and then Butker missed the field goal. Saints weren't able to capitalize, which that was. I mean, their defense, as bad as Saints defense played, they were keeping them in the game. It was within like a reasonable comeback margin, and then after that pick, they with the big man Sanders, which they were talking about how he was the Taylor Swift backup dancer. I'm like, oh my God, no one cares about Taylor Swift. Get the camera off of her. No one cares. Like, no one cares. No one cares. and then he got that pick, and I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, that has to be a part of the script there. But Saints end up getting a touchdown off that to get it 3. I'm like, here we go. They get the momentum, and then the Chiefs offense, blown coverage on Juju, ended up scoring a touchdown. And Saints ended up getting to midfield. They went for a fourth down. Carr on an all blitz through a perfect pass, went right through his receiver's hands. And then he got hurt. He's out multiple weeks now. They're going to start Spencer Rattler this week against the Bucs. That'll be interesting. See how that goes. But yeah, just I mean the Chiefs were in complete control of this game. They should have won this game by more. I mean, just looking at the stats, obviously they outplayed the Saints by a mile. Just looking at these, if you didn't watch the game, just look at these stats. This describes the game pretty well. They thoroughly outplayed the Saints in this game. I mean, all these categories they outplayed them in. Except oh yeah, Carr had a bad. Their opening drive, they pretty good opening drive, and then Carr had a bad pick trying to throw the ball away to Cook. So that was bad, but yeah, Kareem Hunt looked pretty good in this game too. Yeah, I was just surprised it was this close with how much the Chiefs were all playing the Saints. I just figured this was the game the Saints kind of due for a win after 2 straight losses, 2 close losses. They could have won both games, but no, just absolute shitter of a performance from them. So yeah, make sure I got all the games covered here. Yeah, I think I got all of them. So pretty good week. Did a little bit better with my pick. I started out good. Then the Browns, that was a bad pick that I changed to. This the Patriots screwed me over again. A lot of the games that were close losses, I picked the wrong, like Cowboys, Steelers, I picked the wrong winner. I went bold Saints. Obviously, that backfired. This game backfired. So yeah, I did a little bit better this week. I didn't hit any of my parlays, back to nothing. My betting account pretty much. I didn't do too great in fantasy, but kind of another long week for me. But I did marginally better in my picks, so hopefully I get my stride going now that Jesus, week 6 we're already going to be a third of the way to the regular season after this week. My God, this is blown by. As painful and weird and just strange as this season has been. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the week of football. Pretty good week. Some really good games this week I'm looking forward to. Hope you guys did good with your picks, fantasy betting, all that good stuff. Yeah, I will end the video here. I will try to get my week 5 or 6 picks video out tomorrow. Actually, now that I'm saying that, maybe earlier, I accidentally called this video my week 5 recap, but I'm all flustered. Who the hell knows what I'm talking about at this point? But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will end it here. And yeah, take it easy, guys, and have a good one. Thank you for watching.